Love, love.
Some of my people them face how I looking, yeah. And every day when they see me, I looking, yeah. Some of them try to they step my hustle, yeah. Instead of them to be praying for us, oh yeah. Come and miss a peace of mind, and I having anybody time. Now I me I also all day, not forgetting they live balatam batam. Come and miss a piece of.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you're watching us from, my name is Derek Yale, and you're watching us here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. Welcome again. Welcome to episode 1, season 3 of the Hard Zone. And as you know, here on the Hard Zone, we strive to always bring you quality content, diverse opinions on political trends, critical and balanced analysis on political and socio-economic issues, and we'll also try to bring you highlights of the current events locally and worldwide. Here on the Hard Zone, we feature panelists from different political, social, religious, and gender-based persuasions. And here, of course, there's no gimmick, no fluff, just real talk. Now, on behalf of myself and this network, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your continuous support to this network and to this program. Thank you for your participation on the likes, your share, and the follow. You follow the program, even your comments. We would like to sincerely thank you for helping us reach this milestone, season 3 of the Hard Zone. To our hundreds of followers and sponsors, we extend our sincere gratitude and say that we are committed to keep bringing you quality content free of any political alienations and bias. I would like to, before I get into the current event, I would like to again ask of you of a huge favor to please share the program on your Facebook page and invite your friends and family to watch, like, and share the Liberia Radio and Television Network on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Before I get into our current events for this episode, please permit me now to introduce you to my panelists for this episode. I would like to have my panelists now on the screen. Beginning with Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Welcome to season 3, episode 1 of the Hard Zone. Bobby Mitchell Crawford, welcome.
Man, you sound like Charles Bale, man. The late Charles Bale. It's good to be here, brother Derek. As usual, your excellent host, my brother Jawinkin Weah, my beautiful sister. Good to see you, Mr. Elizabeth Collins. We here on the Hard Zone. Let's do it.
Thank you very much, Bobby. I like the energy. Let's keep that going. It's the right energy for the first episode on season 3. Now, but let me come to you, Mistress Elizabeth Collins. Good to see you, and I like your smile. I like the smile on your face, by the way. And welcome to the first episode of season 3.
Thank you. I'm glad to be back again, season 3, and to discuss issues and concerns about our country, Liberia, the war at large. And I'm happy to be back again.
Thank you very much, and it's good to have you back as well. Mr. Jawinkin Weah, welcome to another episode, and it's good to see you as always. But welcome to the Hard Zone, another episode 1, season 3.
All right, thank you, Derek. Thank you, my fellow panelists, the mayor, Mrs. Collins. It's nice seeing you again. Thanks to all the LRTN family. Mr. Anderson, Gavin, Natasha, thank you for the hard work as we strive to also establish our offices in Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you, guys. Keep it good work up.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. We are, and of course, yeah, we would like to.
But Derek, real quick there though, I seen the light in the office. Is that LEC or our generator? No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta give you that. You got me on now. Well, guys, it's good to have all of you back, and of course, our dear audience, you're special to us, and I would like to welcome you to the first episode of season 3. You've been with us through 2 seasons, and it means a lot to us. So welcome, and we're here to provide you with beautiful contents on this new season. So do us a favor, as I always ask of you, to please share the program on Facebook and whatever social media page you are on, and invite your friends and family to watch the program as well. And also, don't forget to follow the Liberia Radio and Television Network on Facebook and YouTube. That is the LRTN Live on Facebook and the Liberia Radio and Television Network on YouTube. But let me get ready to bring you the current events we have here for you in the diaspora, beginning with the Philadelphia water is safe to drink and use again after the chemical spill. So I'm reading this news from the ABC News to go.com just for your source. And you remember, Phil, I think it was last Friday, it was announced that the water in Philadelphia was exposed to some chemical contents. But on Tuesday, Mayor James Kenney announced on Twitter saying that Philadelphia worked quickly to deal with the situation, and he can announce that the water again is safe for drinking. So that is what we have for current events. And also in another one of our current events, the president of the United States of America nominates new ambassador to Liberia to replace Ambassador McCarthy, and we will be discussing this later on in the show. So, President Joe Biden has nominated Mark Christopher Turner as Ambassador Extraordinary to the Republic of Liberia. And our next current event has to do with our international justice group. They seek opportunity to participate in the voter registration process. So I'll just read this from the Front Page Africa newspaper. Backed by the 1986 Constitution of Liberia, the International Justice Group, based in the United States of America, has written the chairperson and members of the Board of Commissioners of the National Elections Commission requesting information on how they too can participate in the ongoing voter registration process by registering to vote. So locally in Liberia, moving on to local current events, we would like to, on behalf of the network, again encourage every Liberian to go be part of the process, get registered to vote in the upcoming elections. And for current events in Liberia, GNN Liberia is reporting that the ECC condemns wave of electoral violence and voters trucking, and they also commend NEC for beginning the biometric system, the biometric voting registration process on schedule. So moving on to another current event in Liberia, and of course the most trending in the world of sport is that the Lone Star of Liberia dreams end with loss to South Africa at home. Unfortunately for our boys, we lost our opportunity to be in the African Cup of Nations come 2024 at the hands of the boys from South Africa. So we lost that game 2-2. But I'll let the transition right from this current event to you, our panelists. We know how dear Lone Star is to us. So I'll bring that conversation to all of you to give us your take on the game and the happiness before the match, the post match, whatever it is you want to talk about. What did you really like about all of this just leading up to the match? Let me ask you, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir, talk to us about Lone Star versus South Africa. The results, your feedbacks, or whatever it is
Well,
you find interesting.
thank you for the opportunity. Unfortunately, I really didn't watch it. I just talked to a few people in Liberia, but it is very disappointing that our Lone Star is declining, on that this president who also became famous from football. But having said that, all I can say is that it requires that the government, the Liberian people, we need to put in more resources to support our team because there are no many sports in Liberia. Soccer or football is a major sport. We don't have tennis, we don't have any other sports. So I think the government and the private sector would accompany or support the team, but there should be a structure for this team to be supported because it is a pride for all Liberians, no matter if you're a political party or religions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin. Let me come to you, Mistress Elizabeth Collins. Talk to us about the Lone Star losing the opportunity to make it to AFCON 2024. Talk to our Mr. Collins.
Well, I was disappointed. Liberia, I mean, for them to lose that game, or even the support. One would think that the president of Liberia, George, we are being the world best, one of the world best in his country, and he's the president of Liberia now. You would think that the team would be well supported, would be energized, would be encouraged, would be motivated, but nothing like that. It's just going down the drain. I'm disappointed, but we still have to support them, continue to support them, whichever way possible you can as a Liberian to support our team, because sports, bring people together. Sports promote unity. So
Excuse me.
we as Liberian team should be encouraged to support our national team. But it was quite disappointing to know that George Weah will be the president of Liberia and being the world best a footballer, for which he has been doing all his life, and for his team, his country team, to be going down the drain like that.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Collins. We all share that disappointment because we love the Lone Star so dearly. But let me come to you, the Lord Mayor of Dental, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your reaction to the Lone Star versus South Africa game.
Like all Liberians, I was disappointed. If there's anything that unite Liberians, it is that national team, the proud of our country, Liberia Lone Star. And when I was in Liberia, I went to all of the games. The last one, I don't want to call it year before people would gauge my age, but I mean, we all love our Lone Star, you know. Yes. Here's the thing: we don't have bad players. We have a bad system. The expectation was that. The funny thing is, every year when FIFA rather does the drawing of the World Cup fixture, they invite Josh upon Weah. That speaks volume. That's the level of respect they have for him. He will have leveraged that respect, to see if he can be able to engage private partnership or just government to bring some kind of a football academy in Liberia for youth development. You see the South African national team, 10 of the players were all local players. That's the thing. 10 of that players. So 11 people supposed to be on the field. They featured 10 players that were all local players that played for the local national team. I mean, the local teams within South Africa. You know what? Some of them came through the academy. The 19 plus houses George Weah built, he could have used that money to build a football academy. Liberia don't have money, we understand. But George Weah cannot travel to France or any of the countries he had played and say, you know what? Y'all give me X number of money, I'm the world best, and he won't do that. But he has no interest. So I don't want to fault our players, even though they are playing the lower league, but they are actually good players that only need encouragement. And they can be more forthcoming in their production if we have a youth academy where they'll be able to graduate from and learn. Football is fundamental. It's not brute strength. You have to be taught the basic techniques. It's not just running with strength and training. It's a system. And that is the system that needs to be taught in Liberia. Unfortunately, we don't have that. So if we can't implement that system, we'll continue to have this kind of a disappointment, this kind of a result, and Liberia will continue to sink. Right now, I think we rank 153rd or whatever FIFA ranking, and that is so disappointing. The only African country that produced world best, Europe best, and we're not even in the top 20.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. I mean, all of you have said it all. When it comes to that game, like for Lone Star, soccer is not just play on the pitch. Like Bobby rightly said, it's played way before.
Yep.
There were a lot of talents on that field that day.
Yep.
A lot of talents, but you cannot expect a team that you gave $100,000 to, a team that players have to buy gas for generator on camp, a team that players pay their own way to come down and to buy their own flight ticket to come down and play for the national team. you cannot expect the result we have expected from the national team. But what I found really exciting, though, what I found really interesting was that despite we know Liberian, or we that were the sympathizers of Lone Stars, fan of Lone Stars, Liberia in general, we know that all of the odds were stacked against us. We're no masters of Africa, the experience wise, preparation wise. You comes to real talent wise, we were not even masters of Africa, but yet and still we believe we put all of our support behind Lone Star. I find that very interesting because it shows that Liberia can unite if the right systems are put in place. If the
Absolutely.
if the right programs are put in place, Liberia can unite on that.
I agree.
It don't necessarily have to be soccer, but if the right system, Liberia can literally follow a system
Yes.
that shows that.
So
And
true.
as far as talent is concerned, if and at this I'll use this opportunity to say to the audience, you have the chance now, go get registered and vote. Because you have the next 6 years to account for if the right programs are put in place. Those talents you saw on the field or during the match will not go to waste. They will
No,
definitely not go to waste. We need a program for those folks. They need to come down to a good training facility, a good playing pitch, a good program, everything set up for soccer to function in our country. We need more money invested into the national league.
and brother, real quickly, sorry, brother Derek. Look at that kid from the Content League, the 15-year-old sensation.
Right.
I mean, look, he plays very well. A talent of that caliber needs to be developed, and there
You,
are
you,
so many players out there like that play at that level. Just yeah. Sorry, go ahead. I just wanted to
I,
add.
know I was about to close anyway, but again, there was a lot of things around that game. Even the kid that won the most valuable player, the top scorer in the Premier League, why he
Yeah,
didn't get called? Why he didn't get called? Why the Liberia National, the Football Association, Liberia, why they opened the training facility to Team Weah? No personal attack on the first family, but why he's not playing active football? But they did not open the training facility to the kid that won the most valuable player in the Premier League.
it
But
doesn't
they
make
could open
sense.
so again, there are so many things. But regardless, we are proud of our boys. That time will come when Liberia will not disappoint us, but instead
Right.
bring pride to all of us. But again, guys, thank you so much for all of your contribution. And again, in the comment section, please tell us what you think about the game and what is the way forward for the Lone Star. But for now, let's take a very brief break, and we'll come back. We'll get back to talking about national issues, beginning with the new U.S. ambassador to Liberia. Thank you, guys.
Hi, my name is Martha Tomley, owner of Matisia Natural Hair Salon, located on 4405 Chestnut Street. We are specializing in locks, natural hair, braids, and etc. Call us for all your natural hair needs. You can reach out at 267-703-2330. If you have pictures or videos you want to send us, you can send it to 267-224-0693.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. My name is Derek, and thank you for staying with us. But for now, I urge you to please share the program on your Facebook page and also your Instagram page. Follow the network. Encourage your friends and family to do the same. But for now, let's have our panelists back and jump right into our conversation. And please, we're asked to cover the topic, and then you can leave us your engagement in the comment section as well. But guys, let's get right into it. As we announced in our current events, the President of the United States of America, Joe Biden, has nominated Mark Christopher Turner as ambassador to the Republic of Liberia to replace the current ambassador, Ambassador Michael McCarthy. And we must mention that we all know that on the ambassadorship of of Michael McCarthy, a lot of government official in the Weir-led government was sanctioned, and also he was very strong. He was very strong on criticizing corruption in his fight against corruption, and also criticizing the ills in the Liberian society. For example, he talks about the theft of electricity. So he was very vocal about those things. But let me bring that discussion to you, my panelists, and you can give us the implication. What are probable reason? What's your opinion? Why do you think this is happening based on your knowledge? Not to put not in any special format. Let me start with you, Mr. Jawinkin Wia. The newly nominated ambassador to Liberia, Mark Christopher Turner, to replace Ambassador Michael McCarthy. What do you think? Give us your introduction, Mr. Weir. You're on mute. You're muted.
You muted. We can't hear you.
The production team.
Oh, go ahead. There you go.
We can hear you now.
It is the production team. Well, I think I don't see anything big about that because the president of any country has a right to appoint, replace, transfer, or any of the cabinets, including ambassadors. But with what is happening in Liberia, the United States government also like to make changes based on observation, based on intelligence, and make appointment to see somebody who best fit for what they think needs to be done in any of the countries. So I think this appointment of Mr. Christopher, perhaps he has expertise about elections, about other things, because Liberia is now going into elections. So that is why I don't see any big thing about that, even though people are suggesting because the CIA director went to Liberia and this seems to me, but in my opinion, I think it's just a routine appointment.
Is a routine appointment. Before I come to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, let me read this on the U.S. White House website about who Mark Christopher Turner is. So it says Mark Christopher Turner is a career member of the Senior Foreign Service, class of Minister Consular, currently serves as the Minister Consular for Public Diplomacy at the U.S. Embassy in Paris, France. Previously, Mr. Turner was a senior advisor at the Commission on Security and Cooperation in Europe and a senior faculty advisor at the National Defense University. It went on and said a lot of things about him, but one thing I would like to note is that Mr. Turner served as a Peace Corps volunteer in Liberia, West Africa. So Liberia is a familiar territory for him. But I just wanted to read that information to the audience. But Bobby Mitchell Crawford, give us your introduction on this topic.
That is an impressive resume. I don't want to be speculative. I mean, I hope what my brother John Winkin said was true, but given the geopolitical implication, I watched CNN just a few minutes ago, just before we came on air. And I think General Mike Mallor, he's the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff of the United States Army. He and the Defense Secretary, they went for a hearing at the House. And one of the things he said that the Wagner group or whatever, that missionary group that is fighting in the Ukraine, they had a footprint in West Africa, precisely in Mali. And given the recent development, it is not coincidental that everything that is happening in Liberia is a first. For the very first time, we have the director of the best spy agency, the best intelligence agency in the world, in the CIA, visiting a poor, impoverished country like Liberia. I'm not trying to be sarcastic, that's just a fact. And then you have the president of that country get an invitation to go and visit, not the president of the United States, but to visit their spy agency. And then 3 days later, a week plus, they recall the ambassador. One can't help but wonder what is going on. I know ambassadors serve at the discretion of the president that propagate their foreign policy through, like in the case of the United States, through their State Department. And there's so many ways that the ambassador can be recalled. Maybe their assignment has been over, or the president think that, the State Department think that they can better serve somewhere else. And in the case of all having our election, America has a vested interest in the outcome of this election. That's the reason why they allocated 20 million plus, and that is the reason why they are sending observer to see best that the election is held free and fair. So I can only speculate that yes, America has a vested interest that the election is free and fair, but America also has a security interest. That's the reason why the CIA is briefed our president, and we are here to know the outcome of that meeting. So I think it is not coincidental. And one can even say that the last remark by Ambassador McCarthy, even though he's been very vocal about the corruption, the graft, and malfeasance that is in the we government, but lately he was on the opposition about making incendiary remarks that have the propensity to undermine our peace, forgetting to know that there are some sympathizers of the government that are engaged in similar acts, and he didn't condemn them. So people it didn't go down well with a lot of people. So there are confluence of issues, and one can only speculate. But whenever a country of like a caliber of the United States recall her ambassador and bring in a most seasoned ambassador with impressive resume, one can't help but wonder why the underlying variables that is in play. So I think it is not just coincidental, or it is business as usual. There's something going on, either geopolitical security interest and the outcome of the election in Liberia. And from all indication, I want to believe these are the two things that prompted the State Department to recall Ambassador McCarthy.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much, the Lord Mayor of Ventura, and to our audience. So we are not stating here the reason for which the ambassador was replaced, but this is all speculation based on the trends of events leading up to the replacement. But let's come to you, Mrs. Collins. Talk to us, the U.S. ambassador to Liberia being replaced. Give us your introduction.
Well, this is it's a normal routine for the State Department of the United States. In the security field, they can change, they can switch, they can change any head at any time if they feel that it necessary. Because one thing they can do is they don't want you to be, they can't make it too comfortable, they can't be too relaxed with you, because the State Department is a department that handles all international affairs. And if a country has an interest or vested interest in a particular country, and they feel that something is not going on right, they can recall you at any time. So I'm not surprised that they can recall their ambassador. Maybe it's a coincidence because the elections is coming, or whatever that is going on, that the CIA visiting Liberia or whatever, but it's a normal routine for them. So I'm not really surprised, and I'm not even going to wrap my hair around it, because it's a normal routine. They can call you anytime they want to, if they feel that your service is no longer needed there, or they want somebody to go there and do a better job, not better than you, but at least somebody that will be able to protect the interests of that country. So it's not something strange. It's a normal routine from the State Department.
And I might add to another way it could be removed if a country that is serving your ambassadorship declare you a persona non grata. It's a Latin term meaning we have no vote of confidence in you. And if that happens, the country that is espousing that will put in a written communication and tell the government, whatever government involved that is serving, the ambassador is serving at their will and pleasure. But in that case, it never happened. So it is actually, sorry.
And I'm sorry, Bobby, but just to your point, Mrs. Collins, you're saying that this is a normal routine. But looking back, and I'm looking at it right now, the previous four ambassadors served at least 4 years. And Mr. McCarthy, I think he was just going to his third year, and now they are replacing him. Now we're speculating here. There are several things to look at. Rampant corruption in the current administration. Could it be that they need somebody with a better profile to tackle that, especially given all the sanctions? Or could it be that because Mr. McCarthy has been very vocal with ills in the Liberian society, he spoke one of the famous things, what would Joseph Jenkins Robert do? And he talks about a lot of things in the Liberian society. Could it be some of those things that or the US could say that maybe he's meddling too much into the affairs of the political trends in Liberia, or is it just because they needed someone better to tackle, especially given what Bobby said, they're interested in Liberia conducting a free and fair elections? What do you got? What do you got? Like, what are you guys speculating? What could be like some of the reasons? Let me come to you and pick your mind, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir.
Well, as I said, like the election is very critical, and based on the resume you just read out, it could be part of the reason, but one cannot be conclusive as to the key reason
Right.
because they will never hear whether the Liberian government ever complained against him for speaking about the ills in Liberia. He also spoke about the role of the opposition, not only speaking against the ruling party. I think he's one of the ambassadors in recent time who is openly speaking out, calling Liberians to take part or take control about their country to face the country themselves. It could be part of the reason, but as I said, but we can't be conclusive because as an ambassador in a country, you are observer. You report directly to your country. You communicate through approved medium, but for him, he was really outspoken in press conferences, press releases, whatever he saw, he talked about that. There were no hesitation about his actions. It could be one of the reasons why maybe it was infeasible for the State Department. Maybe he was not too diplomatic. It could be one of the reasons, but as I said, we can't be conclusive because there is no formal complaint from the Liberian government. There is no formal statement from the United States government to say why he was really removed from Liberia.
Thank you very much, Mr. John Winkin. And let me come back to you, Mr. Collins, because you say it's a normal routine. So now we're speculating, and just for the audience, this is not like Mr. Weir said. We can't jump to any conclusion. We do not know. We are speculating based on the trend of events, and we are in no way trying to or lowball the current ambassador to Liberia or trying to put the person that replacing him. We're literally just speculating. Mr. Collins, talk to us. What are you speculating?
Well, I'm not speculating. The government of the United States have the right to record the ambassador for whatever reason that you and I don't know, and they don't have to tell us.
I agree.
They don't have to tell us. They don't have to give us the reason why. Why they recorded the ambassador. But to me, I think it's a normal routine. Like I told you, in the security environment, they can change hands anytime. Meaning they can switch, heads of ambassadors at any time because maybe like everyone is saying maybe he been too vocal. If that his place to be vocal, or he has a right to report, or his job is to report to his government whatever that he sees that is going wrong into the country where he's serving as an ambassador. And so I'm not speculating anything. I just consider it as being a normal routine because you and I don't know, and they didn't tell us, and they're not going to tell us, and they don't have to tell us. But I
Thank you
think
very
it's a
much.
normal
Thank you very much, Mr. Collins. And let me close with this conversation and coming to you, Bobby, Mr. Cripple. How should the government take this information? The current ambassador being recalled and replaced by Christopher Toner. How should the government take this information?
If I think George Weah should be concerned because to a certain extent he have built, no matter how you interpret it, I think it was a singing ambassador besides speaking of the corruption and the extrajudicial killing and all the different things that are going on in Morovia, to be precise. He said the city was dirty. So he did the normal routine for most ambassadors, and what his replacement has nothing to do with his competence. I want to reiterate that. I think, and this is pure speculative, America, like I said earlier, is looking at it from geopolitical interest, to be very honest with you. If even that's a double negative, to be very honest, right? Because I just mentioned the Magna Group. And then remember, they say in that human rights report, just before the Magnitsky Act level corruption charges against the two Liberian government officials, they say Liberia has become a money laundering hub. They seized $40 million, 100 million plus drugs, and then another 40 million. For the past 4.5 years, it's in the human rights report. They mention all of these different things. Money laundering coming from the Arab world and all that, to the extent where you have the chief, not the deputy, not the assistant or some low level whatever officer, but the director. Never happened before. Come to a country. So it speaks volume. And then a week later, you replace the ambassador. And let me tell you, that resume you read about the new ambassador is just a cover. Who knows? He might be even a planter agent. Because that's the cover. I mean, that's their Bobby Crawford speculating. So Mr. Weah should be very worried. This is really hardball time.
I was about to say, don't put a U.S. secret or something above it.
So you asked me if Mr. Weah should be worried, and I'm being very open. They said, be scared, be very scared.
Be scary.
Not an ordinary ambassador, Mr. Weah. Let me tell you tonight.
You're trying to scare you. All right, but thank you very much, Mr. Crawford. I always appreciate your contribution. But hey, Mr. Weah, and I will come to you next. Talk to us. How should the government handle this? And then after you, Mr. Collins, and then we will call it. We'll draw the curtain on this discussion.
Well, I don't think the government has any choice as to who the American government should send to Liberia. But as Bobby said, there is something I noticed about Weah. Even though I was young when Doe was in power, but he somehow behaved like Doe. He thinks that he's the best. He thinks that whatever he does happen. He doesn't listen. I wonder whether he really listen, or he just looking at group in the street, making noise, applauding him that he's the best. Because there are a lot of things that are going on in that country, including the arms that were brought to the Freeport of Morovia. They talk about that. Nothing came out of it up to this point.
Yeah.
Who brought those arms? Nothing have been done about that. Nothing. Nobody cares.
Nope.
And the people of Liberia, they have been taken for granted by the Weah government, by the group in the street demonstrating every day for Mr. Weah. He thinks they represent the entire country. He thinks Morovia is Liberia. I don't think he looks at how young girls, up to 9 years old girls in the street at night, that I saw myself. People are suffering in that country. And sometimes I don't know what to even say if I begin to process what is going on in that country after Civil War, after everybody looked up to Weah, that he was going to be a change. He was not a politician. You would have, but not to keep you long is very disappointing. So the American government or America as a whole, the structure is a structure that is very patient. They take their time to look for what they want, what they see from you. I recall also that happened to Do. I think Do was invited, something like that, and we are following the trend of Do, as I said before. And so I think if he has not been listening, you should not look at the crowd that's singing his name, that he's the best. He should open his eyes, look beyond those who are around him, and listen outside. Even those who criticize him, they are not they are not people that are hating him because he is president, but they are people who love Liberia, that want the better or best for Liberia. The country is for all of us. We want to go home.
Yep.
We want a leader who cares for everybody, but not the few that are around him. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You have said it better, brother John.
I was about to say, and thank you very much. That's what I was about to say. But you get that Nelson Mandela charisma when you're talking, though. You make people want to listen to you.
He said it on the old hand on the block.
Yeah, the old hand, man.
No, for real, you got that charisma. I was gonna give you all the time you need on this show.
Oh, you see?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Mr. Collins. Tell us how the government should take this information.
Well, the government of Liberia should be concerned. Should be really concerned. I don't want to say worried, but should be concerned. And the people of Liberia also need to pay attention. You know, one of the problems we Liberians that we have is we don't pay attention. We take everything for granted. We take everything for a joke. And sometimes I wonder, why are we like that? Is it, I don't want to say it's a cultural thing, or it's something that we develop over the period of time. This laissez-faire attitude, behavior, down to the president, we don't care. Everything that is going on in our country, I don't hear him making any comment. All he knows is go make music and make fun of all of it. People getting killed, people getting missing. And so he should be concerned. He should pay attention. There are so many handwritings on the wall, but he overlooking it. I don't know what he's thinking. I don't know how he's running this government. You know, it's quite disappointing.
That God taking care of Liberia.
That it's just God that taking care of Liberia, to be honest. I remember months back we didn't have current at the spring at the airport. Everybody took it for fun.
But Mrs. Collins, I can tell you that you just froze real quickly, Derek. You know what? When they was at the United Nations, UNESCO, they did a survey. Most of the population, Liberia has a youthful population, brother Derek.
That's correct.
Most of the children that are inhabiting Liberia now, some of them are born 1990, 1989, when we had a civil conflict. And since 1989, what kind of a good educational system have we had?
No.
We are producing a trauma-ridden population. A lot of these people are not exposed, with all due respect, the way we conduct, civil discourse. All they have witnessed all the 20 plus years, chaos and chaos and chaos. And those of us that had the privilege to see some semblance of normalcy, we are even making things worse for them. We're not giving them the necessary direction. And that's the unfortunate part. So to answer your question about Liberia have a short-term memory, it's because the people that are in Liberia, most of them, they are youthful. And all they have been used to a chaos. All the children you see in the street chatting, Amanda, I went to Amanda. That's all they have known for the past 30 years.
Yes.
Some of them were 5 years old when they walk in. And all they see around them is chaos.
Anybody that was 10 years old when they were working today, they're 42 years old.
There you
Look at
go.
their life.
It's not easy. Yeah.
Look at their life.
I
They're the
must,
one we call it Zogo. And
I
who
must,
pays for it? Society pays for it. You can't walk in the street of Monrovia with your cell phone in your hand, your ear will go.
And
Your
you
face will
see
be
people
blue.
telling you, if you papa, you respect your brother or your disgrace.
Your brother with
thank
your
you,
disgrace.
thank you, thank you very much, guys, and Mrs. Collins. Thank you as always for your contribution. Let me say this, though. I must say this. It seems like you guys came ready for season three because the energy I'm seeing on this episode tonight is going to be a problem for those of you watching the hard zone. So let me keep you on that note and leave us your participation in the comment section. And you can wait to see more energy as we get right into discussing the voter registration process being handled by the National Elections Commission of Liberia. Guys, let's take a very brief break, and when we come back, we will get right into that discussion.
At Fatu's, we know what it's like to feel a little homesick. That's why we work hard to bring you the very best and freshest imported foods and supplies from home. With quality design African cloths, beauty supplies, and tasty African food items, you'll feel right at home. So what are you waiting for? Stop by Fatu's African International Market for all of your household and family needs. See you soon.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. You're watching episode one, season three of the Hard Zone, and my name is Derek Gallo. Let me have my panelists back on the screen, and we will get right into the voter registration process in Liberia. We are 195 days from the elections on October 3rd, and Liberian in Liberia and diaspora are registering for that process. So we will have a very open discussion on the electoral process and some of the things that have been that has been happening, including the voters trucking and also people being denied from registering based on their last name. So we'll have that open discussion. You can give us your take on the whole electoral process, and also we can use this opportunity to encourage Liberians to get in the process to get themselves registered. Your vote is your future, so make sure you have yourself registered and to be eligible to vote come October 10th, 2023. But for now, guys, do us a favor and share the program on your Facebook and Instagram page, and also make sure to encourage your friends and family to watch the program as well, and also to follow the Liberia Radio and Television Network. But for now, guys, let's get right into our discussion on the voter registration process. But before I do, let me recognize the presence of our panelists who just joined us. Reverend Addy, welcome to another episode of the Horizon Season 3, Episode 1. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Greetings to all of you wonderful panelists. Greetings to our stalwart, dedicated followers of LRTN. God bless you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. It's good to have you back with us. And let's get right into it. Mrs. Collins, let me start with you on this. You've been following the election, the registration process that commenced, or was it this month, right? The 20th of this month. Talk to us about everything you have observed so far. Give us an introduction on this discussion.
First of all, I want to encourage all Liberians to go to register to vote. Your vote is your future. Your vote matters. Your vote is the one that will determine what happened to your country, to your little village, your little city and county. Now, but what is kind of discouraging and disappointing to me is that the trucking.
Mrs. Collins, if you don't mind, I would just let me get. I'm sorry, I'm may you said that you can come up with all of those things, but just do your
Oh, okay.
introduction for now, and let's develop the conversation.
Okay. So, yeah, like I said, I want everybody to encourage all Liberians to go register to vote.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if I changed your pattern of thinking. But let's come to you, Reverend Adi. Talk to us, give us an introduction, a discussion, and talk to us about the importance of getting registered to vote.
Well, Liberia is at a very crucial juncture. It is a moment for us to put patriotism above individualism and nationalism above tribalism. Your vote today will determine your poverty or prosperity tomorrow. It's important to get registered and decide the destiny of your country and your future. Any mistake you make without understanding that there's one opportunity for your decision about good school, good health care, good roads, a president that cares, this is your moment. Register and vote. This is when your voice gets heard the loudest in the destiny of your country and your personal life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. And we always appreciate your contribution on this shows. And so, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, I'm sorry. Let's come to you. Give us your introduction on this conversation and also talk to us about the importance of getting registered to vote.
Voter registration is part of the democratic process. And just to draw an analogy, and then I'll pivot on the constraints that the voter registration process is facing. They had a married counseling section with the man and his wife. And then the pastor said to the wife, respect your husband, love your wife. And the woman said to the pastor, what they have to respect. So even if Liberians, just to draw this analogy, Liberians are involved in the voter registration process, what if the process itself is riddled with all kind of mistakes? There have been instances where those that are involved in the voter registration process, the wall process are in front of them, or in some instances they're using typewriter, they're tapping on their one finger. What's their name? Peter. P-E-T-E, something like that. So they have the training, they don't have the training. It's slow. You see the news flashing across our Facebook pages, some of the different problems that all the different voter registration, or centers are facing. So in as much that we want people to register to vote, if the system is not smooth enough, it's going to be futile. And it is. I just want this to be, futureless, if that's even a word to use. And this is not going to be the case. We have a badge sensor. The sensor. I'm just telling you, some of the constraints.
No, I will come back to you so you can tell us more about the constraints. But for now, let's keep it to the introduction and also encourage the Liberians in the diaspora in Liberia.
But man, my opinion, I encourage them, but
I will come back to you so you can. I will come back to you so you can tell all of your opinion. Well, go ahead, Mr. John Winkin. We are talking to the audience about the voter registration process.
Thank you, Derek. I want for all Liberians to know that to vote for someone is the same or hiring a person to work for you. Your vote is your power. It is true that in the past, those we vote for see that as a lesson to corrupt or to disrupt or to suppress our future. But that shouldn't be discouragement. Now they are coming to you this time around. Again, after you voted them the last time, they never knew you. Now they know you. So your vote is your power. I will encourage all of you to vote and vote wisely. Thank you.
Oh, that's what you wanted me to say, my man? I'm just kidding.
I'm guessing like I'm silencing you on this show. I just want.
No, it's. I will talk about that, but we just introducing it. So
now let's introduce the conversation. Let's slowly walk our way into this conversation, buddy. So now, we want to talk about elections, the registration constraints. Let's begin with the biometric system, the results of the census that the opposition community is not trusting right now. Let's talk about all of those constraints. Bobby, I would like to start with you on that. Talk
Hey
to us
man, I
about the
wish you
constraints.
asked, but it's okay.
You
I'm
will,
ever
you
ready. My mom
okay?
got terrible.
You but go ahead, talk to us about the constraints.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. You know,
You are on a road, though. That's why I'm giving you
yeah,
the
it has come
opportunity.
to the point where we just have to roll the punches because it is what it is. Like the people can say, it is the best that we have. It's CCP, ANC through its stand-up bureau, Mr. Cummings. They have lodged a complaint if you were pulling madly to the Supreme Court, just explaining what happened to the censor. The court even have yet to hear that case. Now we have all of this constraint regarding the voter registration rolled out. So what can you do? You can't say because of this, let's postpone the election. One can only hope, because I've seen a picture of the registration card itself. There's a section in the in the lower right corner that has something that looks like a fingerprint. I'm hoping that's a biometric fingerprint of a unique voter, because if your name is Peter Paul, just to give an example, and you go to another precinct and change your name to Mary Paul, they can be able to identify you to be the same person if that's the case. But I don't know what it is, because people are even claiming that the biometric system itself is flawed. So these are all recipe for the election not being free and fair, and it have people worried that the result will not reflect the wishes and aspirations of the Liberian people. Why is it that at this time the election commission needs 30 million United States dollars? Only 19, no, less than, I think 5 million has been allocated to them. 6 months into election. How can you do that? It is beyond, I can't even describe it. And this has been consistent with the George Weah government. America has just reiterated through its ambassador that they are sending election observer, they are made money available to help in the process. But we don't see the result. The Supreme Court have yet to issue a statement about voter tracking. They can't put a gap on certain election irregularities so that election magistrate can execute their various function. They're not even doing that. So it's like just rolling with the punches, and it's not supposed to be like that. For crying out loud. So we don't even know where to start. So you will say all of these things and all your concern is just like falling on deaf ear. So I don't know even this election will be free and fair. And if that happens, I'm afraid it's going to be chaos in that country, because whatever result that people suspect would be riddled with cheating and foul play, I mean, I don't even want to know what's going to happen.
Thank you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And let me come back to you, Mrs. Collins, and I will come to you, Reverend Addy, next. Still on the constraints of the election, the election registration process. Now, the ambassador, he in his press statement today said that he foresee electoral crisis based on what Bobby just said of the lack of funding for the elections commission. Now, Mrs. Collins, talk to us about like these constraints that surround the elections, the census results. Now, the National Election Commission do not have funding. Like, how should the voters handle this information? What should the government be doing now in the sense of having a conducting a free and fair elections?
Well, like my colleague Bobby just said, are we gonna roll with the punches? Or are we gonna do something about it? Up to now, the census situation have not been resolved. The court got yet to, talk about that. They don't have trained staff to conduct the voter registration. some of the staff that they have, they can't read and write. They can't even spell the people name right. They can't even spell the people name right. What are we gonna do? And this is what I've been saying. The opposition is running the ball late. These are things that they should have addressed from the get-go.
But Mr. Collins, not to cut you out, what you wanted the people to do? They make all the noise, the government, you want to do nothing. Now they go through the people, the state want to do nothing.
So we should go with the punches? So we just have to go with the punches because elections is 195 days away. And here we are, we don't have funding. The election commissioner, Mrs. Director Brown, just telling us that she don't have money. How are we going to have election? Are we going to have election? Are they going to postpone the election? Or are we going to have free and fair election? Or are they going to work? What all this about? That's what I want to know.
Exactly.
Like what I just said earlier, and I always say, Liberian people do not pay attention.
Yep.
We do not pay attention, and that's a sad story for us. You mute out. I can't hear you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Collins. And like you said, those are very important concerns that you have. Are we going to have the election? Is it going to be free and fair? So now let's bring this to you, Reverend Addy. Given the constraints surrounding the voter registration process in the elections as well, we're 195 days away. The Elections Commission do not have enough funding to carry on just the registration process, and the biometric system they were using, and also the census results that is not trusted by the opposition community and some international partners. Talk to us about these constraints and how should Liberian go about thinking about it day after day.
Well, it is very clear that from what I'm observing, elections will just be going through the motion. Government intends to steal these elections from us, as evidenced by the following. Number one, the budget of $33 million, they've not received a dime. The $4 million has gone as a pre-financing to the contractors. Number two, there was no voters education. 3, the machine that they're using has to depend on electricity that is not very stable in Liberia.
Bingo.
Number 4, they don't have data processors to register people quickly. Number 5, it has been reported that the areas they were using as stations of registration happens to be private citizens' home, and these were asking for their money.
You see trouble?
So that's a problem now that they have to pick up the machine and move. So those designated areas that people are supposed to be going to register, the houses they are using as registration hub, the owners of those houses, they're asking for their money.
You see?
Government.
I just being your weakness, Miss Reverend Adi, don't get bad. I just pumping you up.
Yeah. Number 6. With violence and trucking. Right?
I was going to get to that. Go ahead.
Let Reverend go. Don't interrupt him.
I enjoy his sound. I call him up.
Right. There's no way to identify the people then who living in Congo town versus the people then who coming from Vata. But the people who in Congo town say the people don't live here.
Correct.
But the people from Vata insisting they're living there and they want to register to vote. Number 7, double registration. Does the machine have the ability to separate those who are registered in Congo at the same time in Vata? According to NEC, they will purge that.
No.
But voter padding is a crime. Vote padding is a crime. So what they are doing, they are moving people to Congo Town, for example, to go and vote if they don't like Pastor Ade as the senator or Yeke Koluba in Uru. If they don't like him, they can take both from Vata to just vote that moment to get him out, and they go back to Vata and hope to vote there. NEC has not been able to convince us that they are able to block that. The biometric system is supposed to be a beautiful system, prevent double voting. They take your fingerprints. I watch it at the house presentation. They take your fingerprint and your picture. If you vote in Kongota, there's no way you can go vote in Kuru. That's what it's supposed to do. But it's voter trucking and padding in different communities until the NEC can prove to us demonstrably that they are able to prevent double voting. It remains a crisis, not to talk about the violence that is happening and government is just doing nothing. Elections might just be a motion that we go through, but these people intend to steal the elections. Not to mention the census being incorrect. They have not done redistricting or reapportioning to reflect the population increase from the census.
You listed in the last thing you just mentioned 8 things. All of those are very important concerns, and they are very dangerous, especially given that elections has a very serious violence implication in Liberia. Now, where are we as a country, and where do we go from here? Where do we go? Now I'm talking about the entire country, calling our international partner. These are the concerns we're having as a country. This is where we are. Where do we go from here? Do we just flow with the punches, like Bobby and Mrs. Collins said? Or do we take actions to make sure that this election do not beat the record of Charles D.B. King elections in, or if I'm not mistaken, 1927? Where do we go from here? What's the next step to correct these missteps? Let me start with you, Mr. John Winkin Weir. Talk to us. Where are we and where do we go from here?
Okay, thank you. I want for Liberians to think. For those of you who weren't born in 1985, the elections between Samuel Doe and the other Doe, Jackson F. Doe from Nimba County. That particular election, Liberians were tired with Doe the same way, in my opinion, they are tired with George Weah. This is the same trend. George Weah, Samuel Doe. The 85 election was stolen. Samuel Doe was saying Jackson Doe was ugly. And at the end, even though, yeah, he said you were ugly, so it was the ugly man. Samuel Doe really calling ugly guy. But what Jackson Doe had was the rooster, the crow of that rooster. So people who never even spoke who never understood English, who never understood voter English and all that kind of stuff, but that symbol of the rooster, the sound, that was people cold. So that meant was a Liberian Action Party. But at the end of the day, everybody knew from the turnout that Jackson Doe won. But however, Emma Hammer turned that election over to Samuel K. Doe. The end result is the Civil War of 1989. Rigging elections. And as I said earlier, the attitude of Weah similar to that of Doe. He's not listening. Well, the problem of the election, that's the role of the justice ministry. We got government in the country. It is a crime for people to do double registration. It is a crime for any political leader to engage into tracking people. What is the role of the justice ministry? What is the government doing? Everybody thinks it's okay because they are protecting their power. But they should think about what happened in Liberia after 1985 elections. We need not to repeat a mistake. It is required one man, one vote. Already the people have problem with the biometric. People are not educated. The government is not focusing how to even reach the people in the rural part of the country. They are not even able to educate people who are in Monrovia, because the way I see people in the street when I was there, we are violated the voter registration rules. You have people in the street. If that was opposition, I guess police were going to go and arrest people. I was very, very disappointed. I saw police officers who were part of that rally. That is not good for Liberia. Whether you love WIA or not, we should think about how we end up with the war that destroyed the country. We should not make that mistake. All of us should make sure that the election is free and fair. Before I talk about other things, let me stop this far, but we should think about the past to avoid the same mistake.
Think about the past and avoid the same mistake. Thank you very much, Mr. John Winking Weir. That was a very moving comment. But let's come to you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Reverend Adi just listed some of the constraints we're having with the registration process and leading up to the elections, prior to the elections come October 10th. This is where we are. Where do we go from here, Bobby Mitchell Crawford?
I'm hoping our election will not be deviationalized. I'm referencing a term with Emmett Hammer. He was the election commission. Emmett Hammer lost our election. And when you say, I still remember when you were declaring the result of the 1985 election in Grand Gillette County, Samuel Kayado led in that county. Then he came to Nima County, Jacinto hometown. He said Samuel Kayado led in that county. We saw what happened. The aborted invasion of 1985 when they killed Thomas Kurumba, when Prince Johnson managed to escape. He made a famous remark. He said Kurumba came with the Bible under his arm. I'm going to come back with the gun. We saw the 1989 insurrection, and today we are paying the price. You know, it is in the interest of our partners, particularly the United States. You know, they see how the conflict in Liberia affected the entire sub-region. We don't want to see that happen. But unfortunately, our past is winning its ugly head. Look what happened in District 10. The president have yet to make a remark. What happened with voter trucking? The Justice Ministry hasn't even issued a statement talking about the illegality of it. Look at all of the different things that the Reverend just alluded to. Those are all different violations. Those are all constraints. The president or whatever agency or government is responsible to address these things, they are not doing it. The problem is right in front of us. The president is more equipped to address the racial gossip and engage in diatribe with Prince Johnson because he considered an affront on his person. But serious national issue that has a propensity to derail our half-fought peace, he's mute. So where can we turn? This is why everybody is looking at the posture of America. The visit of the CIA ambassador that led to them calling the president very unprecedented. It never happened before. The chief of a spy agency in the best spy agency in the world calling you up to their headquarters. And then the changing of the ambassador. And then they keep saying one free and fair election. So our only hope is Uncle Sam. Because the opposition is like, President, we don't even respect the opposition. And it was going to be a serious political price for him to pay if he rigs the election. And I'll be honest with you, it's going to be a serious political price. And I suspect there will be an interim government before even the election. The George Weah government, and you heard it from here first on the high zone, that there will be an interim government before the election of October. Breaking news.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And let's come to you, Mrs. Collins. Talk to us about the constraints in the elections. This is where we are. Where do we go from here?
Upon the interim government.
There you go.
So we can solve this problem and let that bring somebody else.
We can solve this problem anyway. On a more serious note, no, but I mean, we have to pay attention to the keys. And like I always say, what is the opposition doing? So they don't have no say in this, or they can make some noise or do something. Because and even the Liberian people, everything will just be pushed on the wall. They will pay the boys, go in the street and make the noise. They say, oh, the people liking, the people want to do this, the people want to do that. You see what they did with the blue wave. Because the boys in the street, the people in the street or the Liberian people, they are vulnerable. If somebody can get you $20, you go make noise, I think you get food for the next 2 days or 1 day. They will do it. But we have to do something. We have to hold these agencies or these government agencies or the government offices that are responsible to make this correction. We do not have like what the poor voter registration staff, lack of electricity, double registration, and all those things. We have to do what they call damage control. The damage is already done, but we have to control the damage. But at least trying to do some of these things. They gave you money, you take the money and pocket it. What do you want us to do? How you run your country like that? Something has to be done. I don't know why it is, but we have to do something. Or else, history will repeat itself.
We hope for that to not happen. Let's move to Reverend Addy. Reverend Addy, take us home on this one. You listed those constraints. Those are very, very, very and serious constraints, serious concerns. Now, this is where we are. Tell us, where do we go from here?
Well, it's very simple. Government needs to provide the funding to adequately conduct voters education, registration throughout the length and breadth of Monrovia, Liberia. Government needs to also ensure that the security of our democracy is stable. And we are at the precipice of a potential crisis. The ambassador is correct. We see Yeka Koluba complaining. I saw a video today with a young man who said that seditions are moving from one area to another. Where is the justice ministry? Where is the law that is supposed to be secure? You know, one of the 4 pillars of the United Nations is peace and security. Peace and security, human rights, rule of law, and development. 4 pillars of the United Nations. But the thing about the UN, you know, they do not really get involved in crisis until it becomes the sexiest crisis. In other words, until it hits the CNN effect, where it looks embarrassing and then stuff happens, then they come in. But Liberia is still peace building. You know, we've had 2 elections. Peace is still under construction. And government needs to ensure that we are not fully a disarmed country. Our elections were meant to further carry out disarmament. They've been finding catch of arms all over the place. So we have to be very careful. Government should not take for granted the anger of the Liberian people to rise up and potentially degenerate a wholesome functioning society, in the words of the late President Talbot. Where do we go from here? President Weah needs to address the Liberian people in the context of the security of these elections, the transparency of these elections. But unfortunately, when you have no real vision for your country and its security and stability, there's nothing you can tell us. So Jefferson Koji and the rest of the individuals who are fomenting violence has become the order of the day. If you look at it very carefully, much of the violence has been provoked by CDC or sympathizers of this government. For example, let's start with Tilia Yuri, who went to campaign. It was seditions that threw stones at her. Government did nothing. The LU student engaged in a peaceful march before the U.S. embassy. The government did nothing to stop the violence meted out against them. They were demonstrating their democratic rights on campus. Acarius Gray went there with a bunch of thugs, and that's what happened. So until government takes the security of the people serious, we're at the precipice of a potential degeneration of the stability of our peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Very, real quick. I was watching a snippet of news on one of the outlets on Facebook.
Can you do so in a minute, but because we're out of time for this?
Yeah, yeah. So I seen this look on this young man's face, and he was, concerned about what was happening in District 10. And he said something I thought was very profound. You could see the anger on his face. He said, something happened to Yeke. They want to know what we're doing in the place here. You see, that is not good. And that is the general sentiment expressed by most young people in our era. The anger of an object pushed against the wall. That object has a combined resistance of that wall. That is a basic elementary fact in physics. You can't do this. Like the Reverend said, our peace is under construction. People think they ride no car with serene and stuff. Things can change in a heartbeat. They can change.
Yeah.
Your security is not guaranteed if the people are being abused. I will just stop there.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford, and thanks to all of you for your contribution on this discussion. But for now, let's take a very brief break. And when we come back, we will get right into the camp of one of the opposition political party in Liberia, and that is the Unity Party. We will talk about former Vice President Joseph Yimambwaka pick for who he's going to pay for his running mate come October 10th election. But for now, let's take a very brief break, and we'll see you after the break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're here still watching the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. And as always, I ask you to leave us your contribution in the comment section and tell us what you think about the show. Give us your take on the discussions we're having, and also tell us a feedback if you have one for the show. We have discussed quite a few interesting topics. Now we'll get right into one of the opposition community camp, and that is the Unity Party. But first, let me have my panelists back on the screen, and we will get right into the discussion of the former Vice President, Ambassador Joseph Yimambwaka. Who is he going to pick as his running mate for the election come October 10th, 2023? As of now, we have three potential picks in the talk show, the host of the Costa show, Herman Pedro Costa, and the chairman of the Council of Patriot Liberia, And we also have the senator from Grand Bassa County, Senator Yombly Kanga from Liberty Party, and also we have Senator Jeremiah Kong, if that's how you say his name. And so those are the three picks we have for now. Let's get the views of our panelists. Let's start with you, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir. The running mate for Jose Yemambwaga has been on the news lately. We have had Senator Yombly Kanga once responded to it saying that if she were extended the invitation, she would gladly accept. Heron Petro Costa say if Jose Yemambwaga pick him, that will be the will of God. And also an invitation has been extended also to the senator from Nema counties. So tell us, give us your view on the whole discussion on the running mate for Jose Yemambwaga.
Well, elections are about winning, and picking a candidate or a running mate has to go with whether the two of you are compatible. It's about compatibility. Uh, in the African context, I don't know. What I learned lately was about Kun from Nimba County. I don't know how true is it, but Nimba County is a rich vote place. So I understand the vice president is considering picking him because of that purpose. But what comes to mind is, do they have what it takes to deliver Liberia from where it is right now? It is not a question of who will be on the ticket with the president, because in our governance system, the presidency is more powerful. So the Liberian people are looking for someone who is willing to mark a new beginning in Liberia that will announce the name down the beginning of transparency, security, accountability for all the Liberian people. In my opinion, the vice president has a right to pick whoever he wants based on the advice from his supporters or those who surround him. But my main take on it is that is Vice President Boakai is ready to deliver Liberia, having served for 12 years under Salif, having served several years as agricultural minister. There are a lot of stuff that had happened. He has been in government for a long time. But is he the right person for Liberia? Is my question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ja Winkin Weir. And let me come to you, Mrs. Collins. Talk to us about Jose Yemambwaga or choices for running mates or Senator Jeremiah Kong, Senator Yombly Kanga, and the host of the Costa show, Heron Pedro Costa. Give us your take on those names. You're muted. You're on mute, Mrs. Collins. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I didn't realize I was on mute. So, um, the three names that is in the air, um, first I would look at qualification and the voters' choice, because elections are about winning. You want to win. When you join a race, you want to win. Yombly Kanga, if I should have a take on it, if I should have I way, go away Yombri Kanga. I believe that she has some little bit level of experience and 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 a little bit high profile there. So I think Yombri Kanga.
Why not? Why not Heron Costa?
Heaven Costa, he's not ready.
You want to be more specific on that? What do you mean he's not? He's running to be a senator, and he led one of the matter of fact the most peaceful protest in the history of Liberia. Why don't you think he's
That ain't mean nothing.
that? I'll take that. Well, let me. Oh, let me let you to close on that so I can move.
Yeah,
on to-
that ain't mean nothing. I would prefer Yombri Kanga with a level of experience. Henry Costa can lead a protest. He can, but he's not ready.
I will come back to you so you can build on that. Heron Costa.
Yeah, you can come back to me. We can talk about that.
In my opinion, I think all three of them are ready. That's why they're on the list to be considered. But let me come to you, Reverend Adi. Those three names: Solomon Kong, Yomli Kanga, Heron Pedro Costa. Give us your views on them and talk to us about their qualifications, if you would.
Well, the selection I leave to the wisdom of Honorable Joseph Boyka. As far as the qualification, the Constitution of Liberia makes it very clear. You got to be of age and have a high school diploma. The rest of that has to do with the decision of the Liberian people concerning people's experiences in government, among several other things. Thirdly, to Brother Jawikian as to whether or not Joseph Boyka is ready to lead. There's a reason why the curiosity of the public is about his vice president, because he's the next president in waiting. There is not a curiosity about other candidates in the race, but about Joseph Boyka, simply because the public believes that he's rescue one from the perspective of his experience in government, demonstrable integrity, not parading the wealth of the nations that have been pillaged by past individuals who've led the country, as well as those who are currently in power. So Liberians look up to him as the man of wisdom in Rome, a nation impoverished by bad leadership, kleptocracy, and ineptitude. So I can certainly empathize and understand the frustration of the Liberian people who are that curious to know who his next VP will be. The truth remains very clear. He's the most formidable next president in waiting against this kleptocracy that we have today. And hence, if Liberians are looking for a change, for a better Liberia, we also do seek to or hope to find that in the elder statesman, the man of experience, international experience, political experience, business experience, not to mention the fact that he's very much clear about his vision for Liberia: arrest, agriculture, road, education, sanitation, and tourism.
And let me hold you right there. Let me stay with you. And you mentioned his vision. Now we're talking about those three candidates that are being considered. Which one of them, in your opinion, do you think closely align with the vision of the former vice president?
Well, when you look at comics, it has the 5 pillars. You look at Gonglo, all of them visions are just about the same, expressed differently.
No, I'm asking
So there's something
about. I'm sorry. I'm asking about the three people being considered: Senator Yombli Kanga, Senator Solomon Jeremiah Kong, and Heron Pedro Costa. Which one of them do you think closely align with the vision of that of the former vice president?
Well, rephrasing the question doesn't change the fact that I remain respectful of the wisdom of Honorable Boyka to make that decision.
I'm not asking you to make the decision. I'm asking you, based on what you know of those three individuals, which one of them closely aligned with the vision of the former vice president?
Once again, I don't know them too well, but I trust that Honorable Boyka will be able to make that decision reflective of their experience. And that's why you have a committee that vets people. So I can sit here and propound or become a pundit in terms of preference. But many of them in the government, Yamli Kanga and Jeremiah Cohn and Henry Costa, they all have demonstrable scars relative to involvement in our politics and advocacy for the life, for the welfare of the people.
And Bobby, forgive me, I'll come to you right after this last question.
No,
Now,
patient do I eat a father's bone?
Because I'm trying, let me ask you this question though, because I was asking the question for you to pick one that closely aligned with the vision of that of the former vice president. Let me be a little specific. Do you think the former vice president should pick as his running mate someone who once branded him as a tribalistic person, someone who once said that he's unfit, he's, in his words, too old to be president, and that was 6 years ago? Do you think that the former vice president should pick Henry Pedro Costa?
Excellent question. Well, the last time I checked, in politics and its fluidity, you would see that every accusation you point to are people who have cross-carpeted. There are those who are with CDC, they are now part of ANC. There were those who were with ANC, or CDC rather, who are now part of Unity Party. So this is just the nature of the beast in politics. So whether or not the vice presidential pick of Honorable Boyka is realized, that will be a decision he has to make. The vice president, quite frankly, that he will choose will determine, significantly whether he or she has the voters' constituency to galvanize votes to win these elections.
Thank you very much, Reverend Adi. And let me move to Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your view on the list of individuals the former vice president has to pick as his running mate. Jeremiah Cohn, Senator Yomble Kanga, and that of the host of the Costa Show and the chairman of the COP, Liberia, Henry Pedro Costa. Give us your take, Bobby Mitchell Crawford.
I'm buffering a little bit because there's just so much information I'm trying to process.
You gotta tell us.
I'm trying to tailor my response. Now respond, but what I will try to say, at least to a certain extent, it can make some sense because I'm all over the place. In writing, you write and then you edit, and before you come up with a beautiful paper. So I'm going to take my time because I don't want to be all over the place. The Reverend telling us about the business IQ of the VP is like telling me Caspi the Ghost is a real character. You understand? It's like setting snake, or I'm sorry, Reverend. The business IQ of the VP, I have a serious problem with that. That one of the things that they taught about him, Wisdom Basket, that one of the reference they make to him, they alluded to his name. Now he's rescue 1, and whoever he's going to pick is going to be rescue 2. To factor in Jeremiah Kuhn from Nima County is just a wish list. I don't even know if you're going to accept it, but given the Liberian politics, who knows? But here's the thing I have a problem with. The VP has similar behavior like George Weah, and I'll tell you how. Before I come to all this, he's silent on most issues. We all know he traveled, and this has been his hallmark. People seeing it, but because they're selling snake oil to us, they want to Liberian people to overlook this. It started with this $16 billion serious national issue. Joseph Boakai, that he doesn't make any remark. The election voter registration is Mr. Cummings that lodged complaint with the Supreme Court. Everybody know the VP traveled to Ghana. You have a Unity Party leadership here in the diaspora. The chairman, Erasmus, he's my friend from Minnesota for Unity Party. Whenever he comes to the United States, Henry Costa is his handler. The brother has a loose mouth. When he say make it to all. He saw around the Unity Party that Henry Costa doing everything for him in his place here. What do I say about you? What do I say about structure and leadership? To the extent where you depend on one man to say, oh, this is what the person is supposed to do. Here when Accra, Ghana, all the Liberian people know what transpired over there. He came back, Henry Costa went on his show and spilled the beans. The expectation was political science 101, politics 101. Get ahead of the game. Call a press conference. I know the Liberian people call me Rescue One. This is what's going on. Quiet the noise. At the appropriate time, I'm going to announce my vice president. He allowed it to just filter all in the news media. Because you know what? The Liberian people are so gullible, they love the party. And that's why he's been riding on. So many mistakes. When it comes to him choosing his vice president, here's the problem. I know Henry Costa will be his VP. I can tell you that. And if that happens, it's going to be that would be the worst mistake the old man going to make. Because Henry Costa has insulted so many people. He's such a polarizing figure. And besides him, I don't want to say he doesn't have the experience, but just the way he carries himself, it's going to be a problem for him. And I suspect that's exactly what the old man going to do. Jeremiah Coon might accept to be his VP because he want to provide a cover for Prince Johnson, which Mr. Cummings has made it clear that he's going to prosecute him for war crimes, so they can't even go to Mr. Cummings' camp. But that's okay. That's the kind of a leadership you're talking about. Joseph Boakai, he has made so many political compromises. And that's one of the things that Cummings see, he say, you know what? If y'all want us to be united, let's go through the process. But I am not going to succumb myself to someone that has made so many compromises politically. Let him go and let his government work. Let the Liberian people see it. And we're already seeing the leadership failure. I mean, Reverend is talking the good talk here, talking about a business acumen, leadership. What leadership? We keep saying it over and over. What tangible thing has a VP done to say leadership?
Bobby,
for someone to call you to serve in government, you are only a professional payroll collector.
Can you wrap up in 30 seconds, Bobby?
That's what I call it, professional payroll collector. What you got to show in the country? Nothing. To say, oh, I don't engage in corruption. That should be a fundamental prerequisite of public servants. It shouldn't be something to say because I'm not corrupt. So you can't say because you're corrupt, then I'll make you a good person. What wisdom you have that you let the only chance the Liberian people have, the CCP, the same boy that broke the CCP, that the same boy you want me a VP. The boy that called me idiot. I'll reference on nation. Then you want us to go vote for him. Oh, that's wisdom for you. That real wisdom, Mr. VP. That's really wisdom for you. The boy that cussing us left and right. You making your VP. They will say, yay. No, that is not wisdom. Not all advice you can take from old people. Foolish people grow old too.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And let me come to you, Mrs. Collins. And Bobby make a statement, and I want you to address that. And also, the former vice president, being a former vice president for 12 years, or vice president for 12 years, and having to pick, I'm not trying to bring down any of these individuals. His three most popular selections for his running mate, 2 senators, and a talk show host. But now to Bobby's statement, he said Henry Costa will be the worst mistake that the former vice president will ever make in his political career. What do you make of that statement? And what do you make of those 3 individuals being the options for someone who was vice president for 12 years? Talk to us, Mrs. Collins.
Henry Costa, in my opinion, like I said earlier, he's not ready, and I believe he's not mature enough to handle the day-to-day activities as a VP.
That's
my opinion.
What do you think of the? I'm sorry. If you make that statement, though, what does that say about the former vice president, in your opinion?
Well, the former vice president trying to pick Henry Costa out of sympathy.
Out of sympathy, that's a very strong statement. But
because
again,
the party ain't got money. That's just a fact.
Bobby, Mr. Jawinkin, we are. address this statement and correct me if I'm wrong. Why I asked Mr. Weir this question, fine, Reverend Adi, I will pick you back on something you said. When I asked Reverend Adi on the some of the comments that Heron Costa made on the former VP before, his response sort of made it seems like it's a norm in Liberia politics for someone to come and talk and ridicule someone like way out of the scope of politics and come back tomorrow and then they say, "Oh, that's politics." So
You just get it
talk
to whom?
talk to us about that,
You
and
get
also
diarrhea of the mouth.
talk to
I
us
think
about that. You also address the public comment that hearing would be the worst mistakes on the part of the former vice president.
okay. So to begin with, Bobby's assessment. Personally, I see Costa as a con artist. Personally, so I'm not one of the guys who really listen to Costa.
Make it to all.
I'm not one of the guys who listen to
About
Costa.
girl,
So
yeah.
um, Costa is a con artist. So for anyone to consider him as a VP is a joke, in my opinion.
Right.
With respect to criticism, even here in the United States, it does happen here too. People, Hillary Clinton, Obama at the end make her Secretary of State, and many people can do that in politics. People can criticize one another because at the time in primaries, in the presidential election, everybody will focus on themselves, or then at the end of the day, they will compromise. It will reach a point if it were to come to between President Weah and Joseph Boakai, regardless of perhaps who is the running mate of Boakai, they will look at that beyond that particular individual. They will put the country first. Because of putting the country first and looking at Boakai as the head of government, they will forget about whoever the running mate is. They will prefer Boakai being the president than we are going back for another 6 years. So people can say anything in politics or in the past, but at the end of the day, what can you gain from that person who criticized you in the past or who condemn you? Politics is an interest. So
Thank you.
once the interest of both people align with the interest of what they want to do, then there can be no problem. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. Let me give you 30 seconds to answer this question based on your comments. You said you personally think Henry Costa is a con artist, and whoever consider him, that seems like a joke to you. Now, the reality is the former vice president has him as one of the three people being considered for the his running mate. Now, what does that say to you about the former vice president, Mr. Weir? 30 seconds.
I think if that were true, I think the vice president wants to see also how the Liberian people will react. It does happen here in the United States. People can put out names to see what will be the public reaction. So you can come up with names, you can put out in the press to see what people are going to say. And that helps to decide really who the running mate will be. That is part of the process.
Thank you very much. And I just got notification that we are out of time for this discussion, but I would like to come back to you or Reverend Adi. We have had some pretty strong comments from Bobby and Mr. Weir. And also Mistress Elizabeth Collins, just to highlight a few. Bobby thinks that would be the worst mistake in the political career of the former vice president. Mr. Weir referring to him as a con artist. But now, let's bring it back to you. What do you think about those comments? And what is your view on now the former vice president, given that these things have been said about him, Reverend Adi?
Clearly, the fact that we're talking about Ambassador Boyka, I can certainly empathize with the frustration of my friend and brother Bobby and Mr. Jawinken, even though they are both supporting different political leaders. It shows how much they regard Mr. Boyka with dignity and recognizes that his ability to lead the country, since he's the most formidable candidate, is very important. So therefore, they would love for him to choose somebody that they would prefer to help him lead Liberia better than who they support. The facts are very clear. They are, quite frustrated. Their hope is in Honorable Boyka, irrespective of the fact that he support political candidates. It's clear that he's the most formidable candidate. Now, they've addressed a lot of hypotheticals. He will choose Henry Costa, according to Mr. Bobby. Well, that remains to be seen. It hasn't happened yet. Why isn't he talking? Loose lips sink ships. And clearly, those who talk so much end up being discovered.
But I said if.
Exposed.
I didn't say he's going to choose. I said if he chooses Henry Costa, that would be a political mistake.
Probably let's protect
Right. I thought I did hear you say he will, and that we can come back on the show and you will verify that. But having said that, it has to be very important that I believe he has the wisdom and gravitas to make a decision on the best person that will support him in his vision for the greater good of the country. It is quite clear that people are looking up to Honorable Boyka to make this decision as soon as possible. But they must also understand that we are 7 months away from elections, and this is a process. He has a group of team put together, a committee put together to vet personalities who may potentially become the VP. So I can certainly empathize with the frustration that people are hoping he will choose somebody better because this is the man next in line to win the presidency. It's very clear that the frustration they have.
Thank you, Bobby.
2 seconds. 2 seconds.
I honestly do not have that time. I received this text message a couple of minutes ago, so we have to draw the curtain on this one. Again, guys,
I don't want to lose sleep for Joseph Walker not being.
You have to. We'll go for the.
It's the man that doing the VP pick that is sitting in health crisis.
Thank you guys so much for your contribution on this discussion. And guys, keep the comments coming and keep your feedbacks coming in the comment section as well. But for now, let's take a brief break, and we'll come back when we get into our icebreaker round and then ask the panelists for their closing remarks. But for now, let's take a very brief break.
Hey there. Many Liberians are members of social clubs, 501c NGOs, and school alumni. Many Liberians are trying to open their own 501c NGOs, home care agencies, and social clubs. Does your organization have a professional website? Does your web platform have the right wording and content to attract grants? Hopefully you're not running your organization only through social media. There's a more professional route. You need an online space where you can craft a positive message about your organization, making your home health agency more credible, which will increase your chances to receive grants. We'll build you a responsive platform for 501c organizations, healthcare agencies, and other types of organizations. We'll provide you with full website maintenance, membership sign-in, private charts, Facebook and WhatsApp integration, live video feed for all your meetings and special occasions, a dashboard for members to see all the activities, and email and text auto reminders for meetings. We'll build with donors and 501cs in mind, and will help you solicit grants and automatic membership due collections. Building you this amazing platform will only be a membership fee of $19 a month. Call or email us now. Let's upgrade your website. Home health agencies and small businesses, you owe it to your company to project the best image possible, and we can make it happen. Visit www.tiamit.com or call 215-966-8679. Ask for Tommy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still watching the Hard Zone. My name is Derek, and you're here on the Liberia Radio and Television Network, bringing you the very first episode of Season 3 of the Hard Zone. Let me have my panelists back, and we will get right into our icebreaker round. So, guys, you know the routine. This is the icebreaker round. This is where we take a break from discussing national issues or political issues and just talk about something or talk about a very neutral topic. But this also has something to do with elections. So I will announce the icebreaker question, and then I will take your closing remarks. and we will draw the curtain on the show after the happenings and some announcement. But for now, guys, I will announce the icebreaker question, and those of you watching us, you can leave us your comments in the comment section, and also don't forget to share the program on your Facebook page and also Instagram or whatever social media platform you are on. The icebreaker question for this episode is: what was the first election you participated in? What was the very first election you participated in? If you care, share with us your experience. So let me start with you, Bobby Mitchell Crawford.
It was actually my class election, and I believe it or not, I haven't participated in any national election. I was too small on the election of 1985. I was in the voting age, so I didn't have a chance to actually participate in that election. So it was my class election for, I think it was our Secretary General, and my friend and brother, he's in the Maryland area, Justin Morris. His dad was the proprietor of Kemako. He was in business with Abrabo I.E. Bright when he had a chicken hair factory. So his daddy was J. Chancellor Morris. So the way we did the election in the class, very quickly, right? The candidate of your choice, you will write on a piece of paper, and then you just wrap the piece of paper and go pull in whatever stuff, and then whoever is the chairperson of the election will just read out the name, the person with the most names, and then they became whatever head of that. But then Justin had a stamp from his father's office, the papa's signature with J. Chancellor Morris. So we got that signature stuff, we just stamped it on a lot of paper, we just distributed it in the class. So everybody just turned that in. Justin won overwhelmingly. For the two students in the class, almost 40 students voted for him. I don't know if you call that a landslide or Solami. So he was a CBS. I was his so-called campaign chairperson. And after I think I was out of 15 or 14, and he became the Secretary General for the class. And you know, the Secretary General, they put down names of people that are making noise in the class. And it double start to your name that the teacher will deal with you good. So my first secretary, I used to make all the noise, and I was very noisy in the class. I would always sit in the right. You know, I'd be fighting on everybody.
Well, Mr. Cummings.
I don't know why I even said that, but I digress.
Well, Mr. Cummings, and those of you from the ANC, just so you know, Bobby here with the campaign manager for a landslide election. So you got the red guy on your team, but Bobby on the ANC team. So you can have that in the back of your mind. Mr. Jawinkin, I'll take you next. What was the very first election you participated in?
I think it was the election that brought Taylor to power. And in that election, I voted for G. Bacchus Manfield.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawinkin. Mrs. Collins, what was the very first elections you participated in?
I think there was child still election. And that election, I think it was that election or my high school election. I can't remember, but I do remember that the general election for Republic of Liberia was Charles Taylor. And I remember when we went to the school to go to the school building to go and vote. And after that, when they announced the result, well, I didn't vote for Charles Taylor, but I was like, wow. But I did like him though. And the election results were just overwhelming, and everybody was happy. Some people were happy that he won the elections. And the next election that I took part in, I think it was my high school election on BWI. And I became the vice president for my class. I won the election for the vice president for my class. And everywhere I went, I always became a VP. Maybe I'll be VP for Republic of Liberia one day.
Mrs. Collins, he picked up that. I said, talk about baby. You're supposed to say, yeah.
I didn't see it. I didn't get out. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mistress Collins. Reverend Addy, talk to us. What was the very first election you participated in?
The first election I participated in was when Jesus chose me as his child through the process of salvation, Ephesians 1:4. And I say yes to him, making him Lord over my life. The second election I participated in was the 1997 elections, where Charles Taylor became president of Liberia.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy. And
Yeah, Reverend, just bounce on all now.
you know what I mean? Now I gotta say the same thing too. The very first election I participated in was that election Reverend Addy was talking about.
Yeah, man. I myself, when Jesus chose me on a serious note, that was a really good one. Right?
that was really
So
good.
we really forget that though. Seriously, that was really good.
You know,
Thank you, that's very important.
I should have taken the
Thank
Reverend
you.
first.
But then I can
I'll
forget
be
say he's a reverend but it's okay. Thanks for the reminder. That was very good.
Yes, but
God be the glory.
Amen.
I guess now that would be my second election I participated in was the 2011 elections. I wasn't of the legal age to vote, but I was in district now at the time, and Mona Pena was running, and my dad was have family relationship with Mona Pena, so we will be running on her campaign trails at CDC party headquarters. Though I didn't vote.
So you don't want to run all your matari there?
No, they didn't want running all the way. I'm not. I'm not associated with that anymore. But then I didn't get to vote in Liberia. I came to the United States, the elections that brought Trump to power when I obtained my U.S. citizenship was actually the first election that I voted in. But for now, guys, let's get your closing remarks, and we will draw the curtain to this episode, beginning with you, Mrs. Collins. Give us your closing remarks on this show tonight.
My closing remark tonight is I want to encourage all Liberians to go register and vote. Despite when the corridor is open, everybody should go register to vote. That's the only way your voice will be heard. That's the only way you will be seen visibly. That's the only way you will have development coming to your city, your county, your whatever you are. The next thing is let us choose the right person that would lead us in the right direction. Let your heart lead you. Ask God, pray to God to lead you, to show you who to vote for, because it's very important. The person that you choose to be your leader, the person that will lead you. I want to encourage each and every one of us to do that. Get on one knees and pray. Ask God to show you the person that He wants you to lead your country. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mistress Collins. That was powerful. Reverend Addy, give us your closing remark on this episode.
Well, I first of all like to thank all of our dedicated listeners, wonderful panelists. Liberia is at a very crucial juncture. Your decision will make a difference for your personal life, but most so for the greater good of the nation. I encourage all of you to register and vote, irrespective of the intimidations through violence that you're seeing. They're geared towards discouraging you. I encourage you to make that decision. Don't be discouraged. Don't waver. Persevere until your voice is heard. And right now it's clear. The Honorable Boyka remains your most formidable choice to ensuring that Liberia has a better future, not just for us who are alive, but for our generation unborn. That choice is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Addy, for that powerful closing remark. Let me come to you now, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. Give us your closing remark, and then you will take us home, Mr. Jawinkin Weir.
I seen a clip on YouTube. I don't know what district that lawmaker represents, but he spoke with tears running from his eyes, and that really got to me. And everybody that know Bobby Crawford, I'm a compassionate person, crybaby. So that really shook me. And why was he crying? He went to sympathize with the 7 found Liberians that died from that tragic motor accident in Pinzi, like that UN truck that killed 7 people. George Weah have yet to speak about it. But it's okay. That's how he operates. He's silent on major national issues. I see similar behavior in the VP. He's riding on a compassion and a respect of the Liberian people. We are addressing a devil we're going to bring in town. I don't hate Joseph Boakai. I respect the old man. He served our country honorably. But there are semblance of mistakes and poor choices that he had made that I'm worried about. Earlier, the Reverend talked about we so concerned about the leadership or who he's going to pick as vice president. Of course, we should all be concerned. We should all be concerned. Given the gullibility and the polarization of the Liberian politics, there's a possibility he could be president. And it would be a disaster. People are not saying this. He's compromised. There are so many competing interests. Take Henry Costa, for example. He will be worse than Magay. He's bombastic, rude, arrogant, and full of himself. And then you have the Europe faction. The old man is almost a nail. That's a fact. It shows in your leadership. If he can bring somebody here in the United States and he forget a party structure and he allow a boy that will take him to a barber shop where the boy get his haircut first and later get a haircut and put it on Facebook, for crying out loud, that's the vice president of the country, former vice president. Put him in the basement like some kind of an orphan child watching pool game. Come on, man. Really? That's how you're going to run the country? We are concerned not because he's endowed with the requisite talent, because we feel that the people want to elect him and it will be a mistake. That's why we are raising the kind of concern. And I can't wrap my head around it.
30 seconds, Bobby.
30 seconds. Yes. So that is it. And now all over the place, that compassion that may share, I don't see it in leader. The new brand of leaders are coming up. The people that are victim today, the United Nations, the president is not even called. That's a United Nations truck that involved in that. In our stop, they said that the brakes on the car wasn't working. It was an air brake. The people are trying to take it from there, not to pay the towing fee. Lose control and went and killed those found Liberians. Where is the justice for them? The healer-in-chief in President he's mute. That's how Joseph Boakai going to be mute. Henry Costa there running the show. And then the people will be saying they kind of hard time, we are time. And that is the reason why Mr. Cummings said, I ain't going to be part of this train. If Joseph Boakai is who the Liberian people want, Rescue 1 and Rescue 2, let them go and experiment with disaster.
Thank you very much, Bobby Mitchell Crawford. And let me come to you, Mr. Ja Winkin Weah. Please draw the curtain on this one. Give us your closing remark.
Okay, thank you very much, my fellow Liberians. The problem we have in Liberia is not a question of poverty. It's not a question of scarcity of resources. It's a question of leadership. It's a question of your leaders that you put in power to be your custodian. But at the end, they see your vote as a license to suppress you, to serve as seeming gods. The country is rich, but we have been making a mistake of voting people based on knowing them from one county, from tribe. That has never worked. We are refusing to learn from our mistakes. This time around, you are lucky you have one guy, one man that will change the whole system in Liberia. That man will not allow anybody in power to use his power or her power as a license to steal, to suppress, to corrupt, to abuse power. And that man who can change Liberia is Tiawonse Gonglo. You could summon a name down in Liberia that everybody will see is being power as an opportunity to serve, and not to see. And this is why I encourage you not to be discouraged. Register and vote Tiawanse Gongro for Better Liberia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jai Winkin. We are into all of you. Thank you so much for your contribution on this very first episode, season 3 of the Horizon. Again, those of you that are watching us, thank you for staying with us. But for now, this is the end of that discussion, and we will take a very brief break. When we come back, we will bring you the happiness and also some very brief announcement. But for tonight, thank you guys. Thanks to all of you panelists for your wonderful contribution as always. Right now, let's take a very brief break, and when we come back, we will bring the happiness. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're still here watching the Hard Zone on the Liberia Radio and Television Network. To draw the curtain on this episode, let me bring you a very brief announcement. Beginning with the Akana is bringing to you our Philly Africa Town Restaurant Week. This will be featuring restaurants on Woodland Avenue beginning April 10th to the 16th. And the number to contact here is 215-519-6816. And that is the City of Philadelphia and the Department of Commerce in collaboration with the African Cultural Alliance of North America, bringing to you the Philly Africa Town Restaurant Week. And next on our list is the African Food Event. The Cameroonian Association of Greater Philadelphia in collaboration with Emmanuel Restoration Church is organizing an African food event that is scheduled to take place on April 1st, 2023 on Saturday at 12 p.m. So Cameroonian dishes that will be featured: water fufu and eru, country plantain, fulere, Cameroon, ginger juice, and a lot of other Cameroonian dishes will be there as well. The address is 8201 Frankfort Avenue, Philadelphia, and Philadelphia, PA 19136. The website to visit to get more information on this is www.acpephilly.org. And our next announcement is transforming your trauma. Backed by popular demand, are you ready to be healed? And for this announcement, the flyer will be posted, but the airport adventure refreshment there will be served. We'll have the flyers on the screen for you to get more information on that. But that is it for the announcement on this episode, guys. It's been a very, very good time on this episode. Until we see you on the next episode, have yourself a pleasant week. This is the Hard Zone. My name is Derek Galli.
Frankie. Love. Some of my people, them face how I looking, yeah. And every day when they see me, I looking, yeah. Some of them try to step my hustle, yeah. Instead of them to be praying for us, oh, yeah. Coming with some peace of mind, and I having anybody time. About me, I also all day, not forgetting they live by la time. Coming with some peace of mind, and I'm blocking anybody shine. About me, I also all day, not forgetting they live by la time. So I say, I pray, enjoy myself, enjoy myself. I say, I pray, enjoy myself. I want everybody to say, let me live the life in peace. Let me drink my liquor in peace. Let me smoke it, we in peace. Let me spoil my money in peace. No trees. They can step on my